I'm turning 20 in January, which means I'm on the verge of unk status. And it's just crazy to think that my teens are going to be over soon, and I still have no idea what I'm doing. Nevertheless, I believe 2026 is going to be an absolutely fire year. And here's why. I've got some trips planned. I'm going to Belgium for a few days in March. And I've heard a lot of people say that when they get older, they wish they did more traveling in their 20s, in their youth. So I'm going to capitalize on such an opportunity whilst I have few responsibilities. I missed out and procrastinated on going to a trip to Germany with some buddies earlier this year. And it just filled me with such regret, man. I was just caught up in excuses, caught up with things that my parents were going to say, just completely brainless things. So 2026 is going to be the year of minimized regrets. And you may have the same mindset as me that I did during the middle of 2025 of, anxiety and even just trying to achieve your goals or whatever, thinking, what if it doesn't work? What if I fail? But my new perspective is you cannot fail when the goal is experience. And I think that's just something to live by. That is just foolproof, man. Absolutely foolproof. But I think at any age, the aim should be to learn and gain experience. You should never stop learning, whether that's learning about love in Europe in your 20s or learning about love from your kids in your 30s. Life is constant learning. Never stop learning. There's beauty to learning about things we don't know, beauty to the unknown in general. Because our nervousness, our anxieties can be easily converted into excitement. The fear of the unknown of the future can be converted into excitement because they're similar physiological feelings. Now, of course, I'm not saying that you should, if you're in the middle of a war zone or whatever, you should convert your nervousness and anxiety into excitement. Whatever gets you through, but there's a time and place for it. But we just need to learn to tackle our minds and not overwhelm ourselves with fear and anxiety about things that we have no real control over. We can't control the future. We can only focus on what we're doing now. It can be scary heading into the new year, especially if you feel that the previous year, 2025, was mediocre. You didn't achieve anything. You don't feel like you progressed. If anything, you may feel like you've regressed. You've gone down. Maybe the year was a year of decline for you. Maybe it was a year of loss, of heartache, of woe. And as my guy Ebenezer Scrooge says, a time for finding yourself a year older and not a penny richer. Yeah, I do find myself a year older and quite richer, but not in terms of money, but in my tranquility and gratitude. And I urge you to seek out those virtues. I was looking at an old journal as well from January 2024. Always good to look back at what you were thinking of back then. And it reads, in terms of my goals, 10K a month by January 2026. So it's December 2025, and let's just say I'm not quite making 10K a month. Quite a bit less than that, actually, but that's all right. 10% body fat was another goal, which I think I've probably achieved because I've got more cardio in. But my focus has really shifted in terms of my fitness. I'm focused more on the health and functionality rather than the aesthetics and just the vanity of my own appearance, shall we say. Really more for my benefit rather than for the benefit of other people. And we also have the goal of 1K subs by January 2025, which, as you can see, plain as day from this channel, I did not achieve. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful I didn't achieve my goals, and I'm especially glad I didn't achieve those goals as my arrogant 18-year-old self. Who knows what could have happened had I become successful with such arrogance, and then combining that with the ego-fueling success. Just the kind of person I was back then, it really was just a path of destruction. So I'm so glad that I didn't, get entrenched in that. Very, very grateful. And I don't see it really as a failure of failing my goals, especially, as I said, when I wasn't my when I'm no longer my arrogant 18-year-old self, I see it as a rescue from the bad path, a lucky escape, rescued by the grace of God. And I'm also grateful for not achieving those goals because I knew it would never be too easy. I never like having the easy path. I never like being too comfortable. And I'm glad that my patience has leveled up to a point where I'm happy whatever the outcome, because that's something I certainly needed to learn. I needed to learn to just let go, to stop worrying about the future, trying to tackle my chronic overthinking, man. I can't tell you how much of a hindrance my overthinking has been to my improvement, to those around me, just to my own sanity, my own pattern of thinking, and my enjoyment of life. The overthinking has robbed me more times than I can think. For learning to just be, like just exist, not trying to meet expectations. Of course, having goals to achieve, of course, having purpose, not just being stagnant, but just doing it with a smile, man. Being happy for the ride, happy for the experience, and truly knowing that 2026, whatever happens, is going to be a fire year. And I wish you a very happy new year. I hope that you achieve all your goals. I hope that you grow and develop as a person. Hope you've enjoyed this video, bro. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. God bless. And as always, you take very good care of yourself.